Welcome to Brilliantly British. My name is Lawrence and today I have to show you how to make this. This is a Bara Brith, a Welsh tea bread, and it goes perfectly with a cup of tea. The Welsh knew exactly what they were doing when they made this, and so it's really complex in flavour, deliciously moist, speckled with various dried fruits. So guys, as I show you how to make this, sit back with a cup of tea in hand and enjoy this episode. Oh, and don't forget to click the subscribe button. Bara Brith, or speckled bread to you and me, was apparently invented by a Welsh chef who added dried mixed fruit and spices to a loaf to create a distinct Welsh tea time bread, with recipes since then being passed on from generation to generation. Sadly, more recent surveys have shown that the bread has begun to fall out of favour in the UK, with 85% of teenagers never having tried it. And so, for this reason, here on the Brilliantly British channel, we've taken it upon ourselves to revive this deliciously Moorish bread eaten traditionally on St. David's and Christmas Day by showing you how to make it from scratch, thereby allowing you to enjoy it with a tea in hand all year round. So, for today's Bara Brith, you'll need the following ingredients in front of me here. You'll need some strong white bread flour, some candied peel. If you don't have candied peel, then you need to follow the link up there to learn how to make your own at home. You'll need some mixed dried fruit, some whiskey, some yeast. In this case, I'm using fresh yeast, but dry active yeast will do just fine. Some homemade Brilliantly British fermented butter. If you don't have any in your fridge, follow the link up there to learn how to make it yourselves. You'll need some full fat milk, some Muscavado sugar, honey, black tea, and you will also need some mixed spice, which if you don't have, we will show you very soon how to make it yourselves. Finally, I always say this, and this is really, really important. You probably know it's important now. You need to get yourself a nice cup of tea so that you can sip on that as you bake. Guys, to get ourselves started with the making of this Welsh bread, you will need to soak your dried fruit in tea and whiskey for at least 6 hours. Once you've soaked it for 6 hours, it will look like this and it will smell amazing. Trust me on this one. Having soaked our fruit, now's the time to prepare our wet yeasted mixture. And so what you want to do is combine your milk, your fresh yeast or dry yeast, and your Muscavado sugar. Whisk these together until you have everything dissolved in the warm milk. You want to make sure the milk is warm and no hotter than body temperature. And you want to leave this mixture to sit until you have a foamy layer on top or you see bubbles coming through. If after 20 minutes or so you don't see any one of these outcomes, then your yeast is dead and you'll need to repeat this process. To our yeasted mixture now, we're going to add the melted butter and an egg and then whisk this together until it's a homogeneous mixture. With the wet mixture made in its entirety, it's now time to move on and form the dry elements of this bread. For this bread, simply there are only 2 dry ingredients, and that involves mixing together the bread flour and the mixed spice. Once you've done that, you need to put that to one side and then you are ready to finally start making the dough. If you can't get hold of mixed spice, you can make your own by combining cloves, ginger, coriander, nutmeg, allspice, mace, and cinnamon. The proportions will be listed in the description below. For the first step when making this dough, I'm going to combine both my wet elements here in front of me, and that involves pouring my soaked dry fruit and the liquid into this wet yeasty mixture. With the 2 wet elements combined, I'm just going to give it a stir. Smells amazing. Now I'm going to slowly add my wet mixture to the dry, but before I start, I'm just going to make a hole in the middle and then in this hole pour in the mixture whilst stirring. With the wet and dry ingredients combined to form our dough, or batter in this case, should I say, what I'm going to do finally is add the candied peel. With the candied peel within the batter here, you then actually want to mix this vigorously for about 5 minutes to develop some gluten, as I shall now demonstrate. Now that I have and you have beaten this batter for about 5 minutes to develop some gluten, what you need to do is allow this to proof, to ferment for an hour, and then after the hour I'll show you exactly what to do next. Guys, we have allowed this to proof for an hour, and I'm telling you, it smells amazing, it looks amazing. The thing to do now is to actually transfer this into your baking vessel. And in my case, I've already gone ahead and lined my baking vessel with aluminium foil and baking paper. And this batter now is going to be poured into that vessel and then allowed to proof for a further 15 minutes whilst my oven is preheating. The batter is in the pan. I've allowed it to proof for a further 15 minutes. My oven is now at the right temperature. I think it is time to bake this. So let's do it. The moment the brith comes out of the oven, waste no time glazing the bread liberally with honey, giving the honey the opportunity to penetrate the surface of the bread, flavoring it within and without. Welcome back. As you saw in the previous scene, whilst this bread was still piping hot, fresh out of the oven, we basted it with honey. That honey has been absorbed by the bread, which will now give the bread an amazing honey element to it. Now, as the bread it is ready to eat, it's cooked, but I implore you not to cut into it just yet. I would actually recommend that you wrap this in foil or cling film and store the bread in a cool, dark place. What will happen in these 2 days will actually result in a much better textured and flavored bread, because the texture will become much more chewy and moist and a bit more sticky. And this is exactly what we want. So I'm going to wrap this in foil. I recommend you do the same. I will see you in 2 days' time. Okay guys, welcome back. We've allowed this to improve in texture, and now I'm going to unwrap this for the big reveal. Okay guys, with the Bara Brith unwrapped, this leaves us with one more thing to do, namely tasting. As you know guys, the making of this bread has meant that I have had to exercise a considerable amount of patience. I mean, this has had to mature almost, should I say, in a dark place in my kitchen to improve in texture, and improve it did. So without much further ado, let's cut and taste. Always make sure guys, when tasting or consuming Bara Brith, it is a tea bread after all, that tea is not too far away. You will also be needing some butter. It is a bread. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I can say this definitively. The Welsh know exactly what they're doing. Yeah, these two together. This is actually quite a dangerous thing. You could have many slices of this stuff. Amazingly delicate, light because it's yeasted. And because it's yeasted, it has a completely different flavor from most modern cakes. Yeah. The elements in there, you've got the spices, the butter, the fruit. Soaking the fruit makes such a difference. And I've got a hint of the whiskey coming through. This is really complex in flavor and actually really delicious and delicate. And it's not really that heavy, which is great. So guys, you've seen how to make this. You have no excuse now not to make this. Please go and make it at home yourselves. Please. Thank you so much for allowing me to show you how to make this delicious Welsh tea bread, a Bara Brith. If you liked this episode, which I know you did, don't forget to click the like button, subscribe to this channel, and click the notification button. Of course, tell everyone you know about the Brilliantly British food on this channel, and I will see you next time.